Oh, hi. You caught me hosting a show called The Weekly Spinner Rack. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Chris. We're going to talk about comics for the next 4, 5, 6, 7 hours. No, probably not that long. But we are going to talk about a bunch of interesting comic book news. We're going to review some comics that came out. We're going to talk about stuff like lanterns later tonight. Folks, I got to say, this new book is the definition of cool. The Last Driver. It definitely met and surpassed my expectations. I don't understand this. Look, I got a copy of a book I really like called The Lucky Devils, but I don't understand this. It's covered in like white. Is that a thing that comic books do sometimes, or do retailers like take this off? Is it to protect it? I don't understand. That's just how I got that one. Anyway, it'll be fun. It'll be nice. Tell you what, I'm about to start doing the news as the first segment, but I'd love to just throw out a real quick pair of plugs because I did some episodes. If you go to Comic Tropes, there is a new episode that I've got up today. When I launch an episode on Monday, it starts with lower traction than usual, so it's taken a little bit of a hit, but I'm really proud of it. It's a deep dive analysis into the artwork of Hirohiko Araki, the guy who is the author of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure for 39 years. I think I did an awful lot of research for the images and the history that I've got there. I'm really proud of it, so I encourage you to check that out. And also, yesterday, I put out a collaboration with my friend. He's in the chat, West Coast Avengers. So it's on his channel, West Coast Avengers. And we did a flip through look at the Eisner Award winning book, Absolute Batman 2025 Special, I want to say it was called. The Daniel Warren Johnson story where Absolute Batman just, beats on a bunch of racists. So anyway, just wanted to put that out there. Proud of both of them. And good to see so many folks jumping into the chat here. I'm seeing it fill up very quickly. The Last Driver is actually about driving a car, not about driving a golf club. So anyway, thank you very much, everybody. Nice to see you all. And why? Thank you. It's just something fun Chrissy got me for my birthday this month. So it's cute. I like cats, so it's appropriate for me. And this is a good place to wear it. Thank you so much, Dr. Schubill, not just for the compliment, but for the super chat. That means a lot to me. Look, we're having fun doing these. We're getting some lovely comments saying things like, oh, turn it into a weekly show. I'll be honest, folks. I personally don't have that kind of free time to add that to my schedule. I wish I did, because I think we are having a good time. We're going to do more. Can I do it weekly? That's probably pushing it right now. Unless we become rich doing it. Who knows, right? Yeah, I had a blast too, Dave. Thanks for inviting me. Nope, don't know that one. Sorry. We do what we can when we can. That's the motto we all live by. Tell you what, folks, you have been dealing with my bullshit for the last 4 minutes. That's crazy. Let's get this shit on the road, as they say. Let's do some news of the week.
We're sitting on top of the story of the century here.
Put an ad on the front page. Cash money for a picture of Spider-Man. He doesn't want to be famous, and I'll make him infamous.
Hi, guys. This is April O'Neil from Channel 6 News, and I am here in beautiful New York City.
All right. Mocked up. I'm sure I'm not the first person to think of it, but I mocked up the Spider-Man Minneapolis news from 2 days ago into a fake comic book cover. We'll get to that news if you don't know what I'm talking about. That should be fun. You know what? I have not had a good coffee in a few days. I should have made a coffee today. I have a Diet Mountain Dew to perk myself up, but I should have had a coffee. Sorry. I saw that Marvel put out a Lego version of the Doomsday trailer. Well, that's just fun. I'll have to go check that out when the show ends. That's really, really cool. All right. So let's get going here. First thing, let me throw out this hopefully helpful warning. I love Fantagraphics. Pretty good size, but still an indie publisher, also local to us. I understand they even had a sidewalk sale this past weekend. Unfortunately, I was working, so I was not able to attend. But here's what's important is that they posted this to their Instagram. Scam alert. Do not order from fantagraphics-us.com. It is not a legitimate website. For the show, I tested what would happen. When I tried to go there, fortunately, my browser was smart enough. It warned me that it was probably a dangerous site. So hopefully, if anyone tried to do that, you would get the same experience. But it is a cloned website designed to steal your credit card information. This is just another reminder that we need to be really careful with the links we click on. Just be skeptical of everything, unfortunately. It's really too bad. Yeah, I would take that. I would take that, Chrissy, if you're willing to. Oh, but you know what? I think I've got my almond syrup that I wanted. I think it's in my car, so never mind. Thank you anyway. Just wanted to put this out there, though. What is it? If you try to figure out who hosts the website, all you can seem to find out is that it was opened on February 14th of this year, so it's pretty new. But the ownership of the domain is obscured from the Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers. It's got identity shielding from a Japanese domain registration service called Onamae, which is something like to do with like name. So anyway, yeah, it's a thing you can pay for when you register a domain name is to block who you are. Too bad then. Anyway, just wanted to pass it on. Really not much more to say than that. I'm not aware of anybody that I know getting scammed by it, but I love Fantagraphics. I'm always happy to plug them. Wouldn't want any of you guys to get tricked by it. What else have I got? One other little piece of news that came up just this afternoon, just before I started the show. I always talk about how much I love G.I. Joe. Big fan. And specifically, I'm a fan of the comic book, which is written by Larry Hama, who's also written a number of other comics that I love. But he posted this. Has anybody been in touch with Mark Bellomo? He has all of my G.I. Joe vehicles and figures. He hauled them away before the pandemic to sell them for me online. And so far, I have not received a single cent. I have asked him repeatedly for an accounting and to return my property. At first, he made excuses saying he was having personal issues, but I see that he is on Facebook selling toys again. He has not returned my calls in over a year. If anybody has purchased signed G.I. Joe toys or figures from him, please contact me. So he just wants to get his property back, I think, at this point. So yeah, just trying to spread the word. Maybe somebody knows Mark and can, hassle him. I've heard before that Mark has done consignment deals and can be slow to respond to people. Here's the thing. He's not just some guy, Mark Bellomo. He is a toy expert. He's written a number of books, specifically Star Wars and G.I. Joe. But he's also appeared on toy-related programs like The Toys That Made Us. So he's not exactly somebody that could just disappear per se. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's out there in public, but he's that's really slow. Larry has a good size, I know, toy collection. I don't think Hasbro gives him one of everything, but they give him some toys. And, Larry's just looking to downsize at this point. But yeah, so he wants to get his stuff back. You say he got bricks and minifigs scammed. It was interesting. This was just posted a few hours ago, and already tons of comments in there saying get Reckless Ben on this. If you guys don't know, I had mentioned that months ago on this as something that I really recommended. Reckless Ben is definitely going to get himself in lots of trouble for these videos that he makes. I mean, he already has, and he will continue to, but he makes really entertaining YouTube videos exposing corrupt people. So anyway, I really do recommend his videos. That's all I wanted to put out there, just in case anybody that follows me might be in touch with Mark Bellomo. Reach out to him and be like, hey, you got to get this stuff cleared up, dude. We've had Danny Earls on the program before, I think more than once. I'm pretty sure that I've had him on the live show at least twice. Great artist, amazing dude. Well, before he was drawing books like Hulk and right now, Superman, Father of Tomorrow, Danny was a professional, we call it soccer, but the rest of the world calls it professional football player. And he's actually going to play again. I think this is really cool. He's going back to the pitch this coming week for a charity match. Wexford Football Club. That's an Irish association football club. And they're hosting a charity match in just 3 days, the 27th, to raise money for Autism Heroes and Cottage Autism Network Wexford. Not bad at all. Oh, yeah, the ticker tape. I'll throw that up. Here you go, folks. Here's the topics we'll be discussing tonight so that you can keep pace. So, yeah, Danny goes from being a professional football player to being a very successful comic book artist, and now he's going to play some football again. I love it. What else did I have on that? Oh, if you want to sponsor Danny, I know time is short, but if you wanted to see if you could donate to this cause, maybe autism is important to you, maybe you're a humongous fan of Danny, maybe you're just a soccer nut, as we call them here in Seattle. There's an email for Wexford, and if you email them, you can sponsor Danny, and that basically goes to charity under his name. So pretty nice. Thought that I would share that. I absolutely love Danny Earls. He has just been one of the absolute kindest guys in comics. There is a handful of people who have really done stuff like outside of just comics. Andy Kuhn, Peach Momoko and her husband, Danny Earls, Scott Snyder. These are people that have all just done some nice things for me outside of just talking comics. And there's just some wonderful people in this industry. There really, really are. Thank you so much, Luke. Wow, that's really nice of you. I really appreciate the super chat. Thank you. That's the only reason I do this show. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you very much, though. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Wanted to put something like that out there. Good for you, Danny. All right. Everybody's probably already come across this news, but if you haven't, I'm going to recap it for you. Here is some video, right? Why can't I find the play button? There it is. Okay. Give me a sec. So anyway, Saturday, huge racist, far right instigator, agitator, all around racist, Muslim hater. It's just a fact. Guy named Jake Lang. He's one of the guys that got pardoned for being a January 6th rioter. He got himself arrested. Good. And on the way, he took a punch from Spider-Man. Spider-Man and the people of Minneapolis were basically not dealing with his bullshit. This guy that played Spider-Man, he's in really good shape. I mean, he looks good for, just somebody in a Spider-Man suit. I'll play it again while I talk about some of this news stuff. Anyway, so Lang drove through Minneapolis with, I can't even repeat the signs. They were racist. They used the N-word, for instance, okay? Really, really offensive shit. He's driving among protesters, and one of the protesters was this guy, a man in a Spider-Man suit. He leapt aboard the truck, and literally you could see him pulling away one of the most offensive racist signs. I think he also got a decent punch in on Jake, which is fine, because if you see a Nazi, you can punch a Nazi. You don't have to be tolerant of the intolerant. What else? there were less than a dozen people, folks, that showed up to support Lang's announced protest. So he did not have a whole lot of support, thank God. But the people that were with him did fire tear gas into the crowd. So they were just total jerks. There were, at least they say, 100 counter protesters. So way, way more counter protesters than Jake Lang and his group. Yeah, there's a great photo. I had to make the choice between sort of showing the photo or showing this nice video. I thought the video was a little more engaging, but the photo is framed so well, it would make a good comic book cover. It's a great, and you know what? Someone will probably homage it for a comic book cover. Someone probably will. Anyway, Lang was arrested on probable cause of riot. I think that makes all the sense in the world. Minneapolis police identified the guy in the Spider-Man suit, 33-year-old man named William Nicholas Love. And I mention that because you can look it up, and he also got arrested for throwing a punch. But there's a crowdfunding campaign if you want to support to, him just getting out of that trouble. So thought that I would share that. Pretty amazing story. Felt fairly authentic to the real Spider-Man, jumping in and breaking things up, ending it real quick. So that was nice. Tim, nice to see you, buddy. Amanda's from just outside Minneapolis, right? So I plan on showing her the video tonight. Good for you. I hope she gets a sort of a kick out of it. It was kind of cool seeing Spider-Man just jump into action like this. So let's see one more time. He's like waiting for his moment. It's kind of funny. He's, look at that, like pulling away the barricades and stuff. And there he goes. He gets a good punch in there. That doesn't bother me at all. Nobody got seriously hurt. Doesn't bother me at all. Look at them drive away. Then they're arrested like a block or two later, by the way. All right. I'll move on. As long as I'm talking Marvel stuff. All right. This was Marvel's biggest announcement this week. More Wolverine. Marvel announced Wolverine Origin 3. I sincerely didn't know there was a Wolverine Origin 2. I've made an episode about Origin 1. I think it's a flawed comic, but I think it made sense for Marvel to release it when they did, to just sort of hold on to their own character versus letting Hollywood come up with something. So anyway, but they're going to do a third one. It's called The Dark Age, and it's going to fill in more of Wolverine's past. No more mystery. No more Mr. Mystery. Anyway, this one will be written by the writer of the original Origin series, Paul Jenkins. Art this time by Kafu, and I forget like the 4-part name that stands for, but that's what he goes by. Tie it into X-Men Wildcats. And you know what? If you're going to do that, throw in Spock from Star Trek. Mark Silvestri drew a nice X-Men Star Trek crossover. No, the series that was just called Origin was its own thing. Anyway, this is going to be a 5-issue series launching in December. When does it take place? What is it? Marvel says the series will delve deep into the way Logan's mind and memories work, exploring how a twisted experience in the 1950s created the man and mutant known today as Wolverine. It's basically going to be him dealing with all sorts of post-traumatic stress from fighting back-to-back in World War I and II. Marvel also announced, by the way, a new Jean Grey 5-issue series. That seems to be Marvel's thing right now, 5-issue series. Give me a 5-issue series. I'll knock it out of the park. Give me a character no one cares about these days. I'll give you like a Darkhawk or a Speedball 5-issue series that people will love. I'll take 5 issues. Anyway, so Jean Grey's getting another series, 5 issues in November. Jed MacKay and artist Roger Antonio, where she returns to Earth. That'll be helpful because the X-Men don't have enough cosmic gods on their team. You joke? I swear to God, I've got a Paste Pot Pete story in the back of my head. If I ever get the opportunity, I would love to do a Paste Pot Pete one shot. I want to do a Paste Pot Pete story where he tries to like go straight with a job at a place like Best Buy or Home Depot, and he's just too damaged to make that work. He needs to solve things with glue. Anyway, here's a book coming out pretty soon that could potentially be helpful. No way to know until it comes out, but Mastering the Art of Comics is Marvel's new how to make comic books book, and that comes out October 20th. Marvel has a little bit of a history, of making how to make comics. I don't think anything will compare to Understanding Comics by Scott McCloud. There's also a number of good books out there for just understanding how to write characters, structure, the rules of comic books themselves. But there's a few elements of this that made me go, well, maybe there's something valuable in here. There's usually something valuable in each of these. Maybe I should, dude. Maybe I should make it for my patrons. I don't know. Marvel says the book guides readers through every step in the process of creating a Marvel comic book, which I bet you could apply to other comic books, including crafting the perfect pitch, creating compelling characters, designing a knockout cover, and telling an epic story across panels, pages, and issues. Fair. The book uses examples from famous Marvel comics and has Q&As with a bunch of pros. And this last bit is what interests me the most. Writers Fabian Nicieza, Kurt Busiek, Tini Howard, and Kieran Gillen, I respect all of them, as well as artists Walt Simonson, Phil Noto, Chris Anka, and Leonard Kirk. I'd be curious what those people have to say about making comics. So, yeah. How to draw comics the Marvel way. That was John Buscema. John Buscema, not Sal. Sal's great, but that was a John Buscema book with Stan Lee splattered right over the cover too, but that's fair. That's just what it was. Anyway, thought I'd pass it on to anyone interested in learning how to make comics. It might be a useful tool for you. Might be a useful tool. Here's something else Marvel's doing, which makes sense considering Doomsday is about to come out and tackling some of these same ideas. They're going to do 5 one-shots that are set during Secret Wars, the 2015 Secret Wars era. And specifically the time when the multiverse was collapsing, so parallel worlds would have, when they started to cross over, it formed an incursion where either one or both entire universes were destroyed. So this is going to feature universes that we've seen in the multiverse battling for survival. So yeah, it's called Incursions. It's going to kick off with an X-Men book by Alex Packnadel and Jim Toe. Pits Days of Future Past and House of M against each other. Boy, that sounds a little depressing now that I actually paused to think about it a little. Like, those people have had such tough lives, Imagine being in Days of Future Past, mutants hunted to near extinction. You're so desperate, you're willing to try a desperate bid of time travel to wipe out your reality just because you don't think it should exist, like that things should be better. And then you have to fight for your survival against a whole other universe where Magneto's in charge. Oh, that sounds awful. Series is going to continue with a Spider-Man one by Christos Gage and more is what Marvel says. Fantastic Four by Ethan S. Parker, Griffin Sheridan, Paco Medina. X-Men 92 Incursions. That's a little interesting because look, Chris Yost and Craig Kyle, didn't they write the X-Men Evolution cartoon, if I'm remembering right? I think so. And Avengers by Al Ewing and Fran Mariscal Mancilla, or Mancia. Not bad. Not bad. None of that. I'll tell you what. These are good creators. if there was like one artist that I absolutely loved, I'd jump in for that one shot. None of these quite knock me over, but it's close. It's a decent enough idea to explore. I didn't remember. You mean Chris Yost and Craig Kyle, creator of X-23. Yeah. And I want to say Chris Yost is working on some sort of comic book movie right now, but I can't remember which one. Why is that all of a sudden in the back of my head? I'm going to double check the news real fast. Oh, right. He's been hired as the showrunner for Dungeon Crawler Carl on Peacock. That's what it was. Dungeon Crawler Carl. I'm almost done with book 6. Cannot wait to get to book 7. All right. Anybody see this image this week in your social feeds? Specifically, look right around here. Does that look like a taxi or a street light? Not really. So let's talk about that. Spider-Man Brand New Day, The Art of the Movie. It's a 208-page book that was released this month. Shows concept art for the movie. But fans are concerned that it shows that the film used AI. If you look at like Delhi, like the L looks more like another I. None of this fire escape makes sense. It's called Big City Little Spider, and it shows the hallmarks, potentially, of AI with, and I'm calling out the things that I was just pointing to. Fire escape, taxi, deli sign. Doesn't look right. However, before we just, because I'm as anti-AI as anybody, but I didn't repost this right away when I saw it because I was like, I don't know that that's AI, because then I feel like I'd see more weird things like this in the cars here. Here's the thing. The book's publisher responded. Maybe I'm giving them too much of a benefit of the doubt on this one, but they said that this is simply what's called photo bashing, which is when you're doing sort of a fast mashup of a couple different elements in Photoshop, and you're not trying. It's meant to be an internal document. I don't think that this was ever meant to be published in the book. I think that was a mistake for sure. But photo bashing is a real thing. That's where you take some chunks of images or something, and then you might crop out seams, or you might crop out watermarks if you're using something that you don't have the rights to. It's using possibly the Photoshop autofill function. And I'll be honest, here's why I think that might be so. If this was all AI, I would expect things like this delicatessen sign not to read right. And I would expect there to be more inconsistencies with that the windows wouldn't be quite so uniform. I do sort of think that this is a thing that they touched up in the middle with Photoshop autofill, and that this was simply meant to be an internal document. Hey, what if the city looked like this? Maybe I'm being naive with that. But as somebody that actually uses Photoshop and will sometimes use the autofill to clear up a dirty area, I kind of think that this is not AI, folks. So I just thought I'd add my 2 cents there and say I think this is something we should probably just defuse. I call BS on that because there's a pic in the book that has mangled legs on Spider on his chest. I haven't seen that one, so I couldn't speak to it. I was reading today that there are 297 data centers across Canada, with more coming, because apparently Canada has the perfect weather for them. Oh yeah, it wouldn't be too hot, right? This kind of fake social media outrage on this. Yeah, I think it is a little bit. I'm not convinced that it's AI anyway. It could be, in which case I'd be pissed off, not just that it used it, but that they're actually selling a book with AI in it. That would be extreme bullshit. As it is, I would definitely not buy this book because I'm how can you sell something that's unfinished like this? If it was hand drawn, fine, but like that's bullshit to put something like this out as a book. But the movie, I can't say that this is like any sort of a smoking gun. I really don't know. It was just getting a lot of talk online, and I was like, I think this needs to be diffused. I don't know if I'm doing that though, so I'll keep moving. Anybody see that Robert Downey Jr. was wearing this interesting outfit at Comic-Con? Like a custom-made Latverian blazer? Well, he was. If it's AI, it would be super disappointing, but I ran the image through AI detector, came back 100% human. I was leaning towards human too. And I'm very anti-AI. I just don't think it's AI. I think it's autofill, and that's it. Anyway, let me talk about Robert Downey Jr.'s interesting outfit that he wore. So, at Comic-Con, Robert Downey Jr. was wearing a custom suit, and it is covered with Latverian runes. And a Reddit user, Edit with Ego, appears to have cracked the alphabet. He's released a cipher saying that each one of these runes corresponds to an English sound. The standee in cinema was where they started to crack it. It's got, maybe you've seen it, maybe you haven't, but there's one of, Doom in his throne, his typical pose, and it's got Latverian runes underneath. That translates to kneel before Doom. Okay, that makes sense. Right pocket says revenge. Left pocket reads justice. I can't see that. I can't see both. But anyway. Text along his lapel says there is no promise of tomorrow. Okay. His cuffs read, and this is the most clever for me, to the victor go the spoils. That's why I believe it. That's really clever. Victor Von Doom, to the victor go the spoils. Yeah, I like that. I like that. That's the part I like. The runes over his heart haven't been figured out yet because there's still a character that is unknown. And it looks like it says something like 4 letters like LBO ? So it probably stands for something like Latveria. Who knows? Anyway, just kind of fun that they put that out there, knowing that fans would just figure it out eventually. Yeah, they didn't show him from the behind that much because, it was kind of really thumbing the nose to our face. But yeah. I just made up a phrase, whatever. Just something fun. Oh, ooh, my heart. What's this? Disney and WEBTOON announced a new initiative. They're going to make some original comics under a brand called Disney Cursed Love. Oh. The first book for the initiative will be The Curse of a Forsaken Heart. And that comes from Emily McIntyre. She's a New York Times best-selling author. And artist Samiru. Don't know Samiru. Anyway, it's going to be it's going to come available first, of course, on WEBTOON. That's what it's designed for. But then they are going to put it into print in 2027, they say. Here's the plot. Belle and the Beast, in human form, get sucked into a magical world through an enchanted stained glass window. It happened sometimes back in the day. In medieval France, sometimes you fell through an enchanted stained glass window. It just happened. There were a lot more stained glass windows that were enchanted back then. Anyway, once trapped, they quickly realize the fate of the realm is tied to the kingdom's princess Emberlyn, a woman who didn't yield to the marriage proposal of an evil sorcerer. As a result of her refusal, the entire kingdom is cursed to live without love, and anyone who steps foot inside it is also cursed. Belle and the Beast will have to not only find their way back to their own love, oh yeah, he'd probably turn into a beast if they weren't in love, but also help the princess find hers in order to lift the curse from the kingdom and return home. I bet they do. Exactly. Beauty and the Beast, Isekai. Presumably he had a name. I don't remember the movie ever giving the prince a name. I don't remember. Presumably. Yeah, I hate it when people are late too. Be on time. I'm just kidding. It's nice to have you. What else? Midnight. Just a quick thing here. So, Midnight Fantastic Four writer Benjamin Percy and Midnight Spider-Man writer Philip Kennedy Johnson were guests this week on AIPT's podcast. And they revealed that there are plans to expand the Midnight universe beyond the initial 3 books. They specifically said a couple things. They said they have regular Zoom calls, the 3 of them, Jonathan Hickman as well for the X-Men. And they've got a Slack chat so that they can keep each other updated in real time with, hey, I'm adding this element just in case you want to use it in yours. Because the idea, of course, is for each book to operate independently, but it is technically in a shared universe. So someday there'll be a crossover. Anyway. But yeah, the big thing was just that they said that there are plans for more Midnight books. I'm sure there are. Seems a little early to talk about it since the books aren't even out yet. We don't know how it'll do, but maybe. Don't know if you guys picked this up. At my comic book shop, they did have a free copy of the Ashcan, which basically just has several pages from each of the 3 books with no dialogue. I can talk about it a little later tonight. I would say out of these, I guess I'm a little interested potentially in all 3. Potentially. I'm not sure. I like the premises of them with the horror tint sort of idea. I just don't understand quite how any of them would operate on a long-term ongoing basis. It just seems like things are destined to spin out into total chaos. Yeah, I think that was the one I liked the most, Mike. I think that was the one I liked the most for the art. Yeah. The Sleepwalker of revisionist universes. Sleepwalker should actually, unironically, have a huge role to play in Marvel Midnight. When people go to sleep and have their nightmares, he's there, keeping them sane. It's the only thing that keeps the world operating is that he's fighting nightmares. All right. Creator passed away. Comic writer Roger McKenzie passed away on the 21st. So 3 days ago. Age 75. To me, that doesn't seem that old, but 75. From heart failure and kidney disease. He had been living in hospice care. He leaves behind his wife. A little sad. Let me talk about a little bit about who he was. Honor his legacy. Marvel Comics issued a statement. Marvel mourns Roger McKenzie's passing, a gifted writer. His work on Daredevil helped introduce the darker tone that defined the character for years. That's true. He's had a lasting impact on Marvel's storytelling, from Daredevil to Cap and beyond. Our condolences to his family and friends. He broke into comics at a really young age. He was 15, just about to be 16, and he did a 7-page story in Warren's Vampirella issue 50. Oh, it says 350 there. That was meant to be the number sign. I meant number 50, not 350. Within 2 years of that, he was writing Daredevil at Marvel. That's a big step up. Daredevil at the time was, one of the lowest selling books, just to be clear. But this is where it started to turn around. He joined with issue 151, made it a more grounded crime comic than fighting, kind of silly guys like Jester and Stiltman and that. And he was the writer when Frank Miller joined in issue 158. And obviously Frank Miller took over shortly after that, but I think it's fair to say that Roger McKenzie started to set that tone. One of the things that he added to the Marvel Universe that's probably going to be around for a while, Ben Urich. Ben Urich, the reporter, works at the Daily Bugle. He created that character with Gene Colan in issue 153 of Daredevil. He also wrote a bunch of Captain America and for a bunch of different indie publishers after that. I would not say that like any of it is stuff I'm super aware of personally, other than the Daredevil stuff, but it is sad. And then I also heard another writer passed away this month. I'm less familiar with him, Brian Holguin or Holguin. I'm not sure how you pronounce his name. I know he wrote a bunch of Spawn stuff. That guy was only 61. I didn't hear a whole lot else about how he passed. That is sad. Just personally, I don't think I ever read anything by him, so I just not as aware. Sorry, but my condolences to their family and friends. That's too bad. The only thing that's a small comfort is, I think, when you've published work like this, it's going to outlive you, and I do think that there's something kind of cool about that. Nightmare should be a part of the Midnight Universe, yeah. And I love your idea about how it ends, yes. Absolute Batman continues to be a juggernaut, folks. This week, a really high grade of Absolute Batman, 9.9, sold for a wild amount of money. I don't understand where this is coming from. So, standard cover, first print, issue number 1. It's graded 9.9 by CGC. I don't know how you come across that. Is this like where the printer literally sends it straight to CGC to get it graded? I'm not aware, because 9.9 seems like an absolutely ridiculous grade, but it's what it got. And apparently that's one of only 4 copies that CGC has in its census as existing. One of 4 copies at that grade. Still, it's only about, 2+ years old. Book sold for $9,999. Plus taxes and shipping, of course. But still, just under $10,000. Did you really? I've never seen a 10.0 in person. I don't know about them. That's just a wild amount of money. So then I went and looked on eBay for like what unslabbed copies are going for, and they are regularly selling for a little over $700. I found a bunch of examples where it's selling for $700, and I was like, geez, maybe I should pull my copy out and just get the reprint. That is something. That is something. I don't think that can last forever. The most paid for an Absolute Batman comic for any kind was $18,000. However, it was a blank sketch cover that came, like, it got a painting by Dan Quintana, who's very hot right now. So somebody paid $18,000 for that, which again seems really high to me. But at least that I go, well, it's got original art, and I'll never really put a firm number on what original art is worth, because it's ultimately one of a kind and beauty's in the eye of the beholder. But just a regular slabbed copy that's this new, it just really, it just stunned me. I'm obviously not super connected with the speculator market. So I don't 100% understand where the interest is coming from. But yeah, how can there only be 4 that are 9.9 with a book that's that recent? Well, first of all, 9.9 is a nearly unobtainable grade. Generally, at least my understanding is generally 9.8 is just about perfect condition. And that's usually about as high as you're going to get for something that has made it to the comic book store and been shipped. There's always just going to be a little bit of like a tiniest crease you could imagine, or the slightest off chip or something to a paint. It's something insanely tiny, but it would be like a 9.8 generally. 9.9 and 10 are just about impossible. Just about. Oh yeah, for that kind of money, I'd sell it too at this point, because those prices are not, just to be clear, no matter whether you're into this or you're not into this, I'll just say there's no way the prices will stay that high forever. It's not going to just keep going up. You know, at some point we're going to hit the cap of what people are willing to spend on modern books. And I do worry a little that when that day happens, it'll happen fast across all the comics and a bunch of speculators will leave. We saw it happen in the 90s. I don't want to see that happen again, but we'll see. We'll see. Just passing it on because that seemed like a lot of money. Some fan created this character. Detective Comics issue 1113 is going to have a backup story that features a new villain that was designed by a fan for DC's recent Building Bad contest. That was, it's called Building Bad because it was co-sponsored by the recent Lego Batman game. As much as I know prices won't keep going up forever, but everyone has been saying that for over a year and they've all been wrong. Exactly. I don't know when it's going to stop. It might still go on for another year or two. It really might, but it's not going to for like 10 years. I'd like to get into more thoughts on Lanterns later tonight. My short version, I'm really liking it. Anyway, so this character has now been drawn by Jim Lee. And I will say, if I created a character and Jim Lee drew it, yeah, I'd be pretty excited. It's going to be a variant cover for the issue, but that's still pretty cool. He also will appear in the video game itself. It's going to become downloadable content. And he's going to appear in Batman number 14. Jenna Anderson won the contest. And the character's name is Rhetoric or Rhetoric, depending on how you pronounce it, which is an interesting idea. There's a lot going on with this character. There's a lot going on. I like the mask. I think the mask is good. And I also kind of like the idea of wearing like a suit and tie. But then you've got like sort of military stuff on top of the suit and then chains on top of that. And I go, okay, well, that sort of feels like you're putting a hat on a hat. It's a lot, but it's not bad. It's not bad at all. And congratulations to Jenna. I think that's it's cool that you created something. No idea whether they get any royalties or not. Presumably there might be something. It's probably going to be very small. I'm sure that they had to sign away almost all their rights just to enter the contest. So it's really more of just like, if you wanted to design something, put it out there in the world. And hey, you could say that you created something that's been in a Batman comic and a Batman video game, which isn't too bad. It isn't too bad. If you had a great idea, I'd say keep it for yourself. Was there more? I guess there wasn't more because I put in this little image there. Yes, give her a couple 10.0 graded copies. Maybe that'll put her through college. Absolute rhetoric. What does rhetoric mean? Like, I know I can think of sentences, and all of a sudden I'm trying to think of the specific definition, and it's definitely not coming to me. So I'm going to look it up. We're gonna learn together, because I know you can say that's a rhetorical question. Rhetoric is the art of using language effectively and persuasively to inform, motivate, or influence. Okay, so I guess a big brain villain. Rhetoric. You merely adopted the dark. I was born in it. He does look a little bit like the Riddler mask or a Bane mask. And then he got dressed up in a suit for work. And then he just decided to put on some gear to go paintballing. Spikes and chains. That's what the kids like, Bob. That's what the kids like. Spikes and chains, right? Kids like chains. Kids love chains. In the 90s, we liked chains. Ghost Rider and Spawn were proof that we did like chains. This is a super quick commentary from me. DC had officially announced a new Vixen ongoing series by Stephanie Williams and Carrie Randolph, and a new static ongoing series by Cody Ziegler and Diego Olatugui at San Diego Comic-Con. But then this week, DC's official solicitations for November went out, and it wasn't in there. And what did that lead to? It got picked up as like news by sites like Bleeding Cool and a bunch of social media users like this guy, Dupre Marcel, talking about it. And I feel like that a lot of people had harsh things to say, like, hey, where is it? I thought looks like DC was lying to us, or it looks like these people are going too slow. I thought Stephanie Williams had a pretty measured response where she's going like, it's almost like comics are an art form that takes time to make. I don't know, though. I wouldn't know much about the process. I'm just speculating. Good for you, Stephanie. That's so good. And she also posted to Threads on Saturday that she would be taking a break from social media for mental health. Good for you. You know, Jimmy Palmiotti posted the other day, he goes, just a hypothetical for everybody. How would you do if there was no internet tomorrow for like a year? It just went away. And I decided to take that as a serious question and thought about it. And I said, you know what? I would get by no problem without social media. If it didn't exist, I could get right past that. Definitely no problem. I really wouldn't mind that at all. I said, not having things like maps or being able to look up info on the fly, that would be trickier. That would be a lot trickier, but I lived more than half my life that way. I could manage, but it would be tricky. I'm not saying it wouldn't. That's very convenient. The hardest part for me would be getting rid of something like YouTube and in general, just streaming. That part I have integrated into my life in a huge way. And I mean, look, I'm doing this right now. I consider YouTube my living. And if that went away because there was no internet, I'd have to really think. I mean, personally, I'd probably just pivot to writing, which in some ways would be very productive, but that's what I would do. Dave says he would have still been working at the post office and would have gone postal. Well, I'm glad you didn't. So yeah, there's certain things I could do. I would love it if they went away. You know, like I use it because it's like, it's not a complete necessity, but to promote my show and engage with people, it sort of is. The social media aspect, I'd love to get rid of. The information and the entertainment, that would be tough. I will admit that would be tough. So, but anyway, all that is to say, I really admire when a creator like Stephanie is just like, I'm taking a break. You know what? Because like, look at what this is. Yeah, I don't even want to repeat all of this. He says here, the art screamed last minute. No real covers, no logos, no interiors. Now they're absent from the November solicits. To which Carrie Randolph just goes, heard and understood, loud and clear. And then this guy got like all sort of apologetic and stuff. And he was like, oh, no, I like your art. You know, your art is great. Like, I wasn't trying to offend you. And then people were like, oh, so you'll apologize to the guy, but you have no problem tearing apart Stephanie. Interesting. Look, it's been announced. It'll come out. So what that it wasn't in November is my only point. So what? That's an interesting point there, Andy. You're right. Like, if there was no internet and we couldn't like email stuff to each other or share files, that would slow down a lot of production these days, not just for comics, but a lot of other things. We've evolved into relying on file sharing. So that is a good point. That is a good point. I don't know if it's news necessarily. It was more just like I was commenting on it. I thought that Stephanie and Kari had really good responses. A gorilla? Yes, I'm happy about this news. HBO has officially picked up the live-action Jimmy Olsen TV show. It's going to be an 8-episode, half-hour show, and it's titled The People versus Gorilla Grodd. They've just flat out leaned into what it is. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Skylar Gazondo is Jimmy Olsen. Jimmy Tatro is going to play Gorilla Grodd. Never would have guessed him, except that he's worked with the showrunners. So I'll get to that in a minute. But he's a funny guy, Jimmy Tatro is. They're going to headline the series. It's done in a true crime mockumentary style. It'll make even more sense when I mention the showrunners. So I'll also point out it's definitely going to include a bunch of the Daily Planet staff. Will we get Clark and Lois? Probably not, realistically. Maybe a cameo. Maybe. But we're definitely going to get the rest of them. Beck Bennett is Steve Lombard. He's hilarious. Michaela Hoover is Cat Grant. Wendell Pierce is Perry White. Sounds like necessary people to have on a show centered around Jimmy Olsen. I love Jimmy Olsen. Jimmy gets into the craziest adventures in DC. I think this is a very good idea for a TV show and a format that will work well as a TV show, the fake crime documentary. So Tony Yacenda and Dan Peralt, the creators of the 2017 Netflix fake true crime show American Vandal, will serve as the showrunners, writers, and executive producers, and Yacenda is set to direct all episodes. If you haven't watched it, especially season 1 is hilarious. It's about trying to figure out who painted dicks all over a high school, but it's treated like a serious crime documentary. Jimmy Tatro is in this. Oh, Chrissy, when it comes out, we'll definitely be watching it. We'll definitely be watching it. I love Beck. He's so good. So good. Jimmy is, he's been going through a bit of a renaissance with his great comic that Matt Fraction and Steve Lieber did, showing up in the movie, and everybody seemed to like this take on him, and now he gets his own show like this. Should be fun. The show features Jimmy Olsen investigating whether Grodd actually killed his father, the king of Gorilla City, which is a crime he was convicted for. Apparently, that will have been part of the past. There was a huge Metropolis, criminal case that everybody watched, and Gorilla Grodd, the supervillain, was convicted. But Jimmy Olsen's but did he actually? He goes into a cold case. Yeah, you remember American Vandal, right? We both thought that was really, really funny. And that starred Jimmy Tatro, if you guys don't know. So that's probably why he was hired as Grodd. Yeah, he's just like a guy that gets into adventures and, just falls into people intersecting with him in crazy ways. I love it. It is a little weird how DCU has been building up all these projects. We're going to do Lanterns, but as a very grounded crime show on HBO. We're going to give you Superman and Supergirl, and then Peacemaker and Creature Commandos. But you're wait, where's Wonder Woman? Where's Flash? I sort of get it. I sort of get it. Yeah, I think that this is framed in a way that it will work well for TV. So I like that. I presume that maybe the crime happened in Metropolis, and so Metropolis, convicted Grodd, and Gorilla City probably wasn't trying to extradite him because they're yeah, they probably believed that he killed his father. So I'm going to assume that the crime happened within Metropolis's jurisdiction. Yeah, where's Metal Men? I want a show starring Platinum and Tin, just the two of them. Clayface is weird too, but if it's good, all is forgiven. Give me the weird stuff as long as it's good. As long as it's good, I do not care. All I care is quality. The Bloodlines show, exactly. Should be fun. Just wanted to pass that on. Halloween. I know that if Dave is still here, he might want at least this comic because look at that. That's by one of his favorite artists. All right. So Halloween the game comes out September 8th. I'm probably going to get it. I like Halloween and I love the guys that make this game. It's an asymmetrical multiplayer game by the people that made the Friday the 13th game. I had backed that originally on Kickstarter, loved it. It's now been taken down due to like legal rights, but it was up for a number of years. I liked the game. You know, it's asymmetrical in that like randomly one of you is the killer and then the rest are the people that have to escape. And it's very tough. It's very tough on both sides, but it's fun. Anyway, so yeah, Halloween the game is based on the film, and now they've got a comic based on that. Whoops. The game's developer, Ilphonic, has teamed with Panic Entertainment to make a new story set back on that night, the night he came home, Halloween 1978. It's written by Hans Rodinoff and Adam F. Goldberg. I think they're usually TV and movie guys. Art by Eamon Winkle, Robert Nugent, Ivan Didov, and Sean O'Toole. Okay. And then November 4th is when it comes out, the comic. It's a one-shot. It does have cover B here by Jonathan Wayshak, which is actually a pretty dope cover. I like Halloween. There have been some probably way more shitty Halloween movies than good ones, but I still overall like it. I really like the original. I don't know if anybody's seen it. Patton Oswalt has a new stand-up special, and if I'm remembering right, he did release it free to YouTube like a month ago or something. And he's got a really funny bit where his young daughter begged to watch Halloween, and he was kind of like, he's like, no, it's too scary. No. And she's like, oh, come on. All my friends have seen it. Like, no, that doesn't work. You watch it and I want to like connect with you. Nope. And she goes, somebody will spoil it for me if you don't let me watch it. He goes, that one hit. I go, that's awesome. That's awesome. That one landed. It'll get spoiled for you, huh? Okay, we'll watch it. I think Halloween holds up very, very well, but is probably not as scary to modern audiences as it was back in the day. Because I did find it scary back in the day. I did watch it a few years ago at an art house movie theater. And there were some moments where I was like, well, that's a little silly now. Why did I find that scary? So some of it hasn't aged perfectly. Dude, I would be first in line if they made Halloween 3 the game. If you want to see me and Jim Mafood and Rob Schraub talk about Halloween 3, it's right here on this channel, Trash Movie Bonanza Halloween 3. You know, the only ones I haven't watched, I didn't watch the two that were by Rob Zombie. I didn't watch those two. I kind of don't want to. I'm not a huge fan of his movies. So yeah, I haven't seen his two movies. I've seen all the others. In fact, I just remembered this. Okay. Maybe I said this in the Halloween 3 episode. I don't remember. I don't think so. Okay. Halloween 3 is legit good. And if it wasn't connected to that brand, I think it would have done better. Or if it was like Halloween 2 and it was clear that it was supposed to be an anthology series. Halloween 3 is legit fun. All right, so I went to see, was it Halloween 9, the one with Busta Rhymes and Starbuck from the newer Battle Star Galactica? Was that the one? It was the one after H2O. I think, it was called Resurrection. I'm trying to think of which one that would be. 6, I think that would probably be the 8th one. I think that was the 8th Halloween movie. It's not very good, okay? Instead of going after, family members or someone that has a deep connection, he just returns home and they're filming a reality TV show live there. And Michael Myers is killing off people in the house. He has no connection to them at all. Stupid. And people are watching this going like, oh, it looks pretty convincing. All right, whatever. Bad movie. It ends after Busta Rhymes kung fu fights Michael Myers and beats him. Whatever. Movie ends. We're all getting up out of our seats. A teenager steps into the aisle and he looks woozy from everything he's just seen. He's young. Like I say teenager, but like 13 or something. And he vomits everywhere. He was just it was too much of a movie for him. And I was like, oh, you wimp. This movie was nothing. And it made me laugh. I had to stop from like laughing at the poor guy. But like, I was like, to vomit at a horror movie, Halloween Resurrection of all movies. It's such a bad one. I don't know if it's the worst. It's the most forgettable. That doesn't necessarily make it the worst. I think 5 or 6 battle for that title. 5 and 6 were both pretty damn bad. Actually, the most recent one, I also think is a mess, but whatever. All right. That was a lot of Halloween talk. Let's get back to comics. Tezuka stuff, folks. Scholastic announced on Wednesday that it's going to release 5 new titles in partnership with Tezuka Productions under their graphics imprint. So they're young adult readers. Each one is going to reimagine a classic manga by Osamu Tezuka. Now he only has about 90 to 100 manga ideas out there. So slim pickings. But somehow they were able to find 5 that they were going to reimagine. The titles to be reimagined are Atom Cat, also known as Astro Cat, Astro Boy, Astro Cat. It's the same thing. Princess Knight. Princess Knight is an important shoujo historical manga. Watch my episode on Comic Tropes about the history of shoujo manga. The Three-Eyed One, Triton of the Sea, and Zero Man. So those are the 5 titles. Can't go wrong with Tezuka. Great books. Scholastic previously published Unico Awakening, and that was a new series based on Osamu Tezuka's Unico series. That originally came out August 6, 2024, with art by Gurihiru. That's cool. But you may remember this. Unico is going to go 8 volumes, and they released 3 so far as of last month. But Scholastic voluntarily removed that book from their Richmond, North Carolina book fairs after a complaint from a first grade parent. Whatever. Yeah, Princess Knight is really cool. Basically, there's this sort of fairy, or more like an angel from heaven. And his job is to give new babies either a pink girl heart or a blue boy heart. And he messes up and gives this girl both hearts. And so she's got she's got tomboyish tendencies, but she's a princess. And she's basically, they've pretended, her family has pretended that she's a boy ever since she was born, if I'm remembering right, because the next in line to inherit the throne is a really bad guy. Anyway, she's got to fight in secret as this Princess Knight. It's hard to remember all the details off the top of my head right now, because I just realized I haven't read it in 3 or 4 years. But it's good. It's really good. Well, it's kind of funny, the little angel guy is in trouble because he messed up and he's told to take back the blue heart. But Princess Knight is like, no, that's part of who I am. And she wants to keep both parts of herself. It's really cool. Anyway, those are really cool. So yeah, Scholastic reinterpreting Tezuka for the modern day. I think that's part of how you keep things relevant. Sometimes you're like, I don't like remakes because remakes are bad. And I agree a lot of times. If it's, say, like a movie that's being remade 10 or 15 years later, Totally agree. But some things stay relevant because they get reinterpreted. Shakespeare continues to be relevant despite its antiquated language because it continues to be performed and with new interpretations. Something like, obviously, we just got a version of the Odyssey that takes elements from things like the Aeneid and later versions, and it recontextualizes a lot of it. But if you don't do that, I think that people can legit sometimes forget about art from the past. And if this interests people, it makes a certain percentage of them go back and see the original. And that's what keeps it relevant. So I think it's really cool when stuff like this, I mean, this is stuff from basically the 60s. That's quite a while ago and in another country. So I think, oh, absolutely. I think almost all the serialized superheroes are good examples because I do episodes all the time about other Golden Age characters that have been completely forgotten. And it's because they didn't get reimagined and reinterpreted by new people. It's very cool. One more piece of news, I believe. Yes, Vampire Hunter D. That anime movie made a big impact on younger Chris. One of, not the first, but among the first anime movies I ever saw. The original Vampire Hunter D. And yet it started as light novels, not manga or anime. Anyway, Dark Horse Comics is releasing a new miniseries called Vampire Hunter D, Fortress of Blood. That's coming out December 16th. It won't be based on any of the light novels by creator Hideyuki Kikuchi. It's a new story, just using the elements, the idea of the character. Fortress of Blood is written by Chris Condon, illustrated by Philippe Andrade, who did that great The Many Lives of Layla Starr. If you ever read that book, great book. No, those are not going to be the original Tezuka books translated. They're going to be taking the idea, giving new creators permission to reimagine it for the modern day. Yeah, Vampire Hunter D going through a little bit of a renaissance because they've got a new movie called Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust coming out fairly soon. Yep, you're right. Anyway, here's the premise. The first official comic series based on Hideyuki Kikuchi's Vampire Hunter D. A vampire lord has marshaled his forces and is marching on human settlements aiming to leave no survivors. One thing stands among his path to the next city, the old fortress. There, a family of outcasts will need to buy enough time for the humans to flee. And wandering the same path is the beautiful, indomitable hunter, half human, half vampire, known as D. Should be really cool. Yeah, December 16th. I don't think I've got anything going on that day. So, yeah, I think I'll go to the comic book store that day and pick up some new comics. It certainly isn't the birthday of anybody important like my wife. If you haven't seen it, I do recommend the original Vampire Hunter D. It's over-the-top violent, but it's cool mythology. It's really cool. And that was the first time I'd been exposed to the idea of a Dhampir, which is half human, half vampire, like Blade the Vampire Hunter, for instance. I like it. I like Vampire Hunter D. I think he's got a cool look, all in black, the super long hat. He's got a hand with like a soul in it and a mouth, and it can like eat sustenance and keep him alive, but it's also like got a separate sentience so he can talk to his own hand. It's crazy. It's really good. All right, that is the news. So let's pivot to talking about some of the comics that came out this week, because I think we can have plenty more good conversation based on some of this stuff. So yeah, give me just one moment to set up my camera and we will get right into the reviews.
Let's review.
Review it.
The review.
The reviews are in. I repeat, the reviews are in.
Go to your reviews.
What?
Speaking of bad reviews,
Don't worry about that review.
Let's review all the facts.
All right, gentlemen, let's review.
Before we do, let's review.
Those reviews really came out fast.
Maybe we can review some right now?
I'm not going to review all that again.
Now let's review.
Not my worst review.
Let's review, shall we? To review.
I think I've reviewed about as much as I can.
All right. Whoa, just scooched forward and hit my desk real hard. So, the Midnight Universe, Ashcan. Just a little black and white freebie to get people interested. I think I would have included at least a little dialogue, but it gives you an idea, and each of them has some potential. I really still don't know whether the Midnight Universe is something that will have legs or not, but yeah, like Mike Todd was just saying in the chat, some really nice, interesting anyway, artwork for the Midnight Spider-Man by, is it Sea Tonic or Sky Tonic? They didn't do a great job of putting in the credits for the creators. You have to read it like really small. Cytronic. It's only a few pages for each thing. It's designed to give you a taste. It is not the book. I would say it looks legit horrific at times. It looks like some sort of humongous genetically engineered spider attaches itself to Peter Parker's chest, which I can understand as a way to get powers, but I don't understand how you can keep going about living a normal life like that. The one for Ultimate Fantastic Four made even sort of less sense to me. I couldn't get a good gist of what was happening at all, other than like Reed Richards picking up a bird that had strange stuff in it and working on some sort of maybe like wormhole or portal thing. But I don't think the pages are in any real order, so it's just to give you an idea. I like the premise of Midnight X-Men, which is mutants versus vampires, and I like writer Jonathan Hickman. I'll be honest, the artwork in this one doesn't necessarily do a lot for me. It's a little bit like John Cassidy, but I can't quite tell if I like it as sequential storytelling as compared to individual images. I can't tell yet. So anyway, yeah, it's just the barest of hints, and then they explain how they'll have all these different systems for variant covers. Apparently, there's going to be at least 5 covers for each book, and then there could be some extras. But anyway, there's an image of Reed in the back of the book, and he looks kind of like a Tetsuo from Akira. Well, he could also look a little like a Tetsuo from the Iron Man, that scary black and white Japanese movie. Very disturbing. Very cool, but very disturbing. I don't know. Did it interest me more than I was already interested? As in, like, did it fulfill its purpose? I would say it did a little for the Midnight Spider-Man one. It interested me a little bit more for that. The others, my interest level is about the same. So I don't know that it necessarily did a lot, but I'm never against getting a free look at a book. I'm never against it. So I knew that we were getting a new creator-owned miniseries at Image from Sean Gordon Murphy as writer and artist. I really like his stuff. I like it when he gets to cut loose, and I love it when he's got an excuse to draw vehicles. So first cool thing about this book, folks, is how it reads, which is lengthwise. It reads landscape, not portrait. So that's the cover, but it's stapled at the top. And then we go like this. And sometimes, let me back out a little. Some of these pages are literally 2-page spreads. Look at that. Look at that. Some really thin, long rectangles. But I'll tell you something. It reads great. And it reads fast. And Sean Gordon Murphy is a guy who I think is really good at several things, but two things I'll point out. Really good at vehicles and really good at city environments. Look at that sort of sci-fi city that looks like Blade Runner. Now, yeah, ultra widescreen. What a great way to describe that. I love it. So I was already in for like the art, but I wasn't completely prepared at what a great clip it would move at. The world building is interesting. It presupposes that this is somewhere in the near future. Despite how high tech the cities look, they're called the grid. Cities are called the grid, and wealthy people live in the cities and poor people live outside in the deserts. And it says that like once the ultra rich created the grid, they created self-driving pods, and driving is illegal. But there's one guy this guy who has his daughter is no longer with us, but he's got his granddaughter, and he's teaching her about cars because he used to be a stunt car driver before cars were outlawed. And he's just talking about how much he loved them and everything. He used to do, what would you call it? He wasn't like a full criminal. Oh, smuggling, like a Han Solo. He's like a Han Solo guy. You can see he's also Native American. And I think that they do that fairly subtly. It's all Sean Gordon Murphy. Fairly subtly with just some interesting tribal tattoos, the hair, arguably the nose, but the features aren't like instantly like you know what it is. But you know he's doing things like he's wearing certain Southwestern style clothing details. It slowly came into play that this guy's a Native American. It's just part of who he is. Anyway, his granddaughter, I should say, is dying from some sort of like a heart or a lung condition. And he gets roped into potentially saving her life if he can do one last sort of smuggling run driving through the city. But I'm not going to go into all the characters and details. I'll just say that it's very interesting to read the comic in this format, and I think it reads great. I read through it so fast, and when I was done, I paused and I said, that was cool. I literally said that out loud, and I go, oh, I got to remember that because I'm doing a show. Look at like this. Mostly these are the panels that are telling the story down here, but across the top, we get an establishing shot of the city. And I'm very curious what that process was like, laying out the perspective at that kind of a scale and that kind of a scope. You know, that had to be at least a little different than whatever workflows we've created for making comics, because it's just not common to draw a comic landscape. It's been done. I can think of comics that have been done, but yeah. So I just thought I'd point it out as something that I thought looked and felt cool. Sci-fi, race cars. I believe it's a limited series. I'm not sure how many issues they've announced it at. I don't blame them. I knew I was going to pick it up because I like how Sean Murphy draws vehicles. Like in his Batman White Knight series, I loved it to see a Batmobile. Loved it. But this is a really great look. I like his art in general. Definitely one of my favorites. He's got his own distinct style. It reads really well, doesn't it, Andy? It threw me out of my rhythms. You know what I'm saying? It threw me out of my rhythms and made me pay attention to the panel work, and I liked it. I liked it quite a bit. Look at some of those angles. There's just so much momentum behind the vehicles. And it isn't all speed lines. Some of it is just composition and the shot angle. Anyway, strong recommend, folks. Certainly for the art, and I think you'd like it for the story, the world building. You know what it feels a little bit like? Feels like 1980s action sci-fi stuff by John Carpenter. And maybe I'm only thinking of him because we just did some Halloween news a few items ago. But all of a sudden it's popped in my head things like Assault on Precinct 13, which is a little more horror, but Escape from New York, and even Big Trouble in Little China. There's a feel that I get out of, like, that's a little bit John Carpenter. Loved it. There was an actual 80s movie, not by Carpenter, that had the same premise. Oh, okay. Not aware, but I liked it. I liked it a lot. I feel like that won't read as well in a trade since the gutter loss will be way more prominent. Interesting point. Interesting point there. I mean, that's probably an issue for any book that has, like, a 2-page spread, but I certainly got excited when I noticed that, like, the background or the panels continued like that. And, the way it comes like this, there's literally no problem with it being squeezed together. Oh, good. Yeah, it's like, if you're using a program like, it's not Photoshop. What's the other one that people draw a lot with digitally? Totally forget. It doesn't matter, I guess. You can create some pretty good perspective grids these days, though, with some digital programs, and that can help a lot, because then you can, like, print it out at whatever size you need it to be and potentially light box it or draw digitally. No, I'm not thinking Illustrator. Clip Studio. Thank you. Clip Studio is what I was thinking of. Clip Studio, I don't know how to use that too well, even though I like drawing digitally. I don't know Clip Studio a whole lot, but I do know that you can create some perspective grids pretty easily with it, especially compared to Photoshop, which is really all I know how to draw in. Procreate does it too? Okay. Didn't know that. Speaking of Escape from New York, are you going to check out the Escape from New York, Escape from Chicago comic coming out next September? It would depend who's making it. Yeah, I remember that now. There are days I'm very frustrated with Adobe, so I don't want to get into it because I'll just go down a tangent, and I want to talk comics. So again, I have no idea why my copy of Lucky Devils seems to have this protective cover over it. This wasn't like a variant cover or anything special. I don't know if this is common for comics to be shipped this way based on anything. It just has this very thin protective cover. No idea why. But this is the second to last issue of Lucky Devils, so I'm not going to totally recap the plot or the characters. It's too late for that. But I will mention it again because I want this to be on your radar if you haven't read it, that you should pick it up when it comes out in trade. I could, but I don't understand what it is yet, so I'm not going to until I completely understand why it's there. Maybe you're supposed to keep it on for some reason. Lucky Devils imagines that there are devils on your shoulder. The only thing is, rather than being, a heaven and a hell, there's just sort of only a hell, and it works like any other job. There's a corporate ladder, and we're at the point where a bunch of devils have had it with how they cannot get ahead, so they're rebelling and helping humans do good, which is causing absolute chaos in the underworld. And we followed a couple characters from the beginning here who originally were a couple that were both trying to do good, but now Rake, she is like almost at the top of the corporate ladder, and she wants to get all the power she can. And Collar runs this sort of like insurgency. It's funny, but it's also really creative because it makes you think about philosophy. How, like, oftentimes something feels like it is the right thing to do or the wrong thing to do, but we have to constantly sort of try to be objective, which is the hardest thing I think you can do, is be objective about your own life. And I'm not saying that it spells out any of those ideas, but those are the things that come to me in this, because there are people that know that they're being influenced by devils and people that don't. There are people that know devils exist and people that don't. But it really does make them all think about, like, what would be the nature of good and bad? What does the most good? That's tricky. That's really tricky to think through. Does the cover glow in the dark? Oh, I don't think so. Let me double check. No. Good idea. I think there was a map of hell on one of the pages. Yeah. Anyway, it's entertaining seeing a bunch of devils that are like sort of naughty and do bad things, but aren't necessarily evil. They're just living the lives that they were born into. And it's really interesting seeing characters get opportunities. Like this one lady started as a nurse, and the devils have slowly given her more and more opportunities. You know, she moved up to be the head nurse and then in charge of, you know, sort of a human resources division for the hospital, and then for the hospital chain, and then, you know, like a political advisor. And now she's part of the president's cabinet. She's in line to be a president. It's really, really cool. As far as what you missed, the best thing I could do is point out the little ticker tape, which has the topics in order. We're into reviews. We're into reviews. I liked 8 Billion Genies a lot. I also like this one more. But this is a great crew. Yeah, I really, really love the world building and the strange ideas that Charles Soule and Ryan Brown are engaging with. Because we're getting a sci-fi, satirical black comedy comic book, and that's fun. But the ideas that it's making me think about philosophically are really worth the price of admission. So those were two fantastic books this week. Really, really good. Apparently, yeah, if you don't know, this book did get delayed for a little while because Ryan Brown had a stroke at one point. And one of his friends even did the layouts for an issue to get it back up and running, but they haven't mentioned it, and it's been coming out pretty regularly. So, very good book. Out of the Energon universe books these days, G.I. Joe might be my overall favorite. I just think it's maintained a consistent quality with both art and action and character work. The thing that we've learned a few months back is that the G.I. Joe, there's actually two G.I. Joe teams, and they don't know about each other. And the guy that's running things, Colonel Hawk, isn't really Colonel Hawk. It's been Zartan all along. So that brings into question exactly like what kind of missions these folks have been doing. Well, Zartan has been discovered by Baroness, and so he sends both teams out to kill her, which basically is just sort of the shorthand for meaning that Duke's team and Flint's team have now come into conflict with one another, and we get to see a bunch of different G.I. Joes battling each other, and they both think that they're on the side of good. It's really fun. It's really cool. Hey, thanks, Steve. Thank you for the super chat. Thanks for being here. Really liked it. Night Force was an actual sub-team back in the vintage G.I. Joe line. It was 6 repainted action figures. They didn't change their accessories or their sculpting or anything like that. They just put them in sort of dark camouflage colors. But now that we're in the Energon universe and we can reimagine things, we can say that that's an actual sub team that's sort of like the Wetworks team, more or less. It's really fun. I'm glad that there's somebody else out there that agrees with me. Am I going to be able to say that G.I. Joe is the same level of world building as Lucky Devils, or the same amount of cool as The Last Driver? Maybe not, but this is like better than, say, a McDonald's cheeseburger, right? This is like getting a cheeseburger at an actual sit-down restaurant. It's fun, it's tasty, and it's high quality. It's still a cheeseburger, but it's a really good cheeseburger. Does that make sense? I don't know where Chrissy got these. Probably on Temu, if I had to guess. My wife got it for me. Comic Troopers are a faction of Joe's. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the Comic Troopers are a faction. We're led by Sergeant Chris. Sort of a Five Guys versus McDonald's type of situation. Yeah. G.I. Joe is... By the way, I should have shown you this as long as I've got this here. I like this 2-page spread by Tom Riley. That's just really nice, seeing the two teams go against each other. The folks on Night Force are led by Flint, but they're kind of some of the most capable Joes. Lady J, Beachhead, Roadblock, Shooter. They're some of like the absolute premier Joes in terms of like skills and stuff like that. Whereas you go to Duke's team and he's got Stalker, which I'll definitely put up there. But, you know, Clutch and CoverGirl are kind of second tier. Baroness and Risk are definitely sort of like question marks over like exactly how capable or loyal they are. But their sort of ace in the hole is they've got Hound, a Transformer, on their team. That gives them a pretty big leg up. I'm enjoying the Energon universe quite a bit. Mask and G.I. Joe are the two that I'm enjoying the most. Hound is officially a G.I. Joe. Yes, he got permission to join the team. He felt like that was where he could do the most good, and Prime gave him, or Optimus now, gave him permission. Battle Beast issue 12 came out, and this is taking another hiatus after this. These are both pretty busy guys, right? It's off until March 2027. So this is the last Battle Beast we're getting in 2026, and doesn't come back until 3 months into next year. So it is going to be a hiatus. I'll let you know this ends without full resolution to the Conquest Battle Beast battle. And that's going to be a tough wait. What it has to offer primarily is Brian's art. It may not necessarily be the deepest story, but it moves at a good pace, and it gives Ryan the ability to draw stuff that he apparently is passionate about, because the amount of detail and the thought he's giving into the storytelling is some of his best. So, I would say there's not a whole lot of story progression here. This is like the third issue in a row with these two characters together. The first from beginning to end where they're just doing nothing but fighting. And the fighting is that tip. If you like the fights in Invincible, which are so bloody and over the top, that's what this is. These are guys just constantly tugging at each other's own entrails, but they're too powerful to just die from that stuff. Look at this punch that smashes all of Battle Beast's teeth. Just an uppercut to the jaw that breaks every single tooth in his body. It's brutal. It's an absolutely brutal fight, but the art is just wonderful. It's really fun and cool. And I don't know what else to say about it other than that. You either like this or you don't. But I think it's great art. I legit think it's really great art. I saw that Robert was promoting terminal, and he said something, I want to say to Pop first maybe, where he just said like intellectual can be boring, and he wants to brush that aside. Let me just say this. Robert almost always has his tongue in cheek when he gives interviews. He's a very funny guy in real life. So take what he says with a grain of salt. You know, if he says that he hates Batman or that intellectual comics are boring, he's not exactly trolling. He's telling you something true about himself, but he's being a little sarcastic. He just is, okay? He just is. If you're not a fan of blood and gore, Battle Beast isn't for you. It isn't, okay? But I just think the art is incredible. So I blasted through this. I did have fun. I did have a lot of fun. I'll try to go a little quicker with some of the rest of the reviews. I've got a few things I want to say about Redcoat. A book I really enjoy about this guy, Simon Pure, who was a mercenary working for the British during the Revolutionary War. And he accidentally became immortal, and he's sort of stumbling through history. We're not quite at modern day here, but we are in Boston just prior to the turn of the century. Albert Einstein is like a very young man, for instance, okay? That's the time frame. It's a little heartbreaking at first because Simon thinks he's lost his family. He's at a high point. He's his best version of himself that we've seen so far. Like I say, he's been a coward. He's been lazy. But he kind of has a heart of gold, so he stumbles into doing the right thing. But here, he's made a life for himself. He's being a good husband and father and employee. The only problem is his old enemy, Benedict Arnold, is also immortal, and Benedict is back from the dead, up to shenanigans and just sort of like manipulating Simon. But we don't know how bad until towards the end of this issue, where we find that he's been tricked into like leaving his work and his home, and everybody that Simon knows has been killed. It is heartbreaking. We are going from Simon, like at his best, he is going to have a major backslide from here. I have no idea how he's going to recover or be able to do anything. It is really, really tough. I give Brian Hitch a lot of credit. You know, he definitely relies on reference. There's no question that when we see these shots of Simon Pure, that he looks like Charlie Hunnam, Sons of Anarchy. He just does. I mean, look, that's pretty solid. It's reference, but he's consistent. He doesn't change like the hairstyle or the look or the eyes or the shadows. He does good backgrounds. He does good action shots and perspective on stuff. Like this shot of him jumping through the window. I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen anything that good from somebody that uses reference like Greg Land is just a point of comparison. There's a great shot in here of Boston's original town hall. And I used to walk past this all the time when I worked in Boston. And yeah, it looks very accurate. Even the buildings around it and the layout and everything. I was like, I recognize that. That's really cool. I like Redcoat, folks. It's a rock solid book. It makes you really feel what the downside of being immortal would be. It doesn't look like fun. Oh, thanks so much for watching it. I was really proud of my latest episode. Yeah, he really tries, and you just realize he's been like several steps behind his enemy without knowing it. It's ugh. Yeah, that's a good way of saying it. He uses photo reference well because I'm sure that he doesn't use it for every single face. He just doesn't. But I don't feel like the look of the character changes significantly panel to panel. He looks consistent. And I think that can be very hard if you become too beholden to reference. You just end up copying whatever hair or whatever look you're doing in it, and it doesn't match. It seems like the difference between using reference and outright tracing a photo. That probably is what's going on. Yeah. I happen to like it too. I think he was very influenced by artists like Alan Davis and Mark Farmer. I think there's no question that he was. I got to do an episode about Alan Davis already, because Alan Davis is very influential. Very influential. Anyway, pretty cool cover. America's 250th anniversary ended up amounting to pretty much nothing. Didn't seem like a big deal to me this year. Should have been, but it wasn't. I just like this, showing all sorts of iconic American history moments. It's a nice cover. So, yeah. The other stuff I read this week, I read Powers, and I realized I forgot to put it in front of me. Read Absolute Green Arrow and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles has not Freddy. What's his name that draws it? Freddy. I'm so bad at names. Freddie Williams III. It's got Pharaoh Pay drawing, but I kind of like it. It's got wall-to-wall action. It's got a cameo by Shredder that's really cool. We've got Baxter Stockman bringing his father back to life just to shoot him. Crazy stuff. It's really fun. It's good. It's pretty good. You know, this issue of Absolute Green Arrow didn't hit too hard for me. Not gonna lie. I like this book. I like it quite a bit. I felt a little confused with who each character was in this issue. I didn't feel like they did a good job reminding me and catching me up to speed. It does have Absolute Solomon Grundy, though, and that's only funny because I mentioned at the start of the show, I did a collaboration with West Coast Avengers. We reviewed Absolute Batman Special by Daniel Warren Johnson, and in that, I point out a scene in Gotham that mentions Slaughter Swamp, and I'm like, oh, that's where Solomon Grundy is. I don't think he's in the the Absolute Universe yet. Well, he is now. I missed it. So anyway, great art, good mean villains, good body horror stuff, but I kind of forgot who some of the characters were a little bit and what all their relationship was. So I was a little like, shit, do I have to pull back issue 3 and read it again? I don't have time for that. So I just sort of kept going. It was good. It was fun. I just had trouble understanding this compared to some of the other issues because it refers to like mystery elements that were already set up, and I just wasn't paying enough attention to remember. By the way, Solomon Grundy's hand with a mouth, that definitely reminded me of Vampire Hunter D. Yes, that very same Freddie Williams. Yeah, the artist of Ninja Turtles, Freddie Williams, is friends with the Red Letter Media guys. So he's been on their show, including an episode where they tried to hunt ghosts with actual ghost hunting stuff. Thank you. The first episode that I made did have real shots. Following ones, sometimes it was real, sometimes it wasn't. Like, I'd always have some, but I would try not to get too plastered or anything. So, yeah. And so that's part of why I was like, oh, I got to phase this out. Like, this isn't like, why am I trying to glamorize something that I don't even feel obligated to do? I was just being silly. I would have a little bit back then, and it would loosen me up. I was newer to making the videos, so I just wanted to be comfortable. But yeah. Little behind the scenes there while I doodle away. A doodle doodle doo. Doodle doo doodle doodle doo. Thanks for the question. I don't think it was rewritten. I think that it will sort of end with issue 6 with whatever that arc was, and then it was probably always going to be open to more, but because it's doing well, they'll continue it. I feel like that's a reference to something, but I don't know 100% what. Good questions about the rewritten potential stuff for whatchamacallit, for Absolute Green Arrow. So anyway, I like Green Arrow as a book, but this one wasn't my favorite issue, unfortunately. I wish I liked it more. I felt a little confused, and that made me feel a little dumb. Oh well. Hey, Jeannie. Did you do some training with Bunker today? Good to see you. You know what? We've had mostly good news in my family lately. I'm still very stressed out about a number of things like family health and stuff, but my mom went through a full week of radiation to deal with some cancer, and it seems to have gone well. And my sister was great. She was giving my mom daily cards and stuff to make her know that we're thinking of her. And so that was nice. Had another friend that is going through even more serious cancer, but she finished her chemo. She went through a very serious surgery, and so far seems to be doing well. Thank you so much. I'm really proud of it. But yeah, it's always tough when I decide to put an episode out on a Monday as compared to a weekend. It sort of launches quieter, and when it launches quieter, YouTube is like, oh, people aren't as interested in this episode, and I'm like, no, that's not it. I just had to do some more work on it and get it ready. And I'm not going to hold it a full week because that'll penalize you too. So you have to make these stupid decisions. That was a tough edit. I know it wasn't that much longer than any other episodes, but it had a lot of images, specific images that I really had to pull. So that took a long time. Oh, that's so nice. I'm proud of you and Bunker. That's great. Yeah, my mom has superpowers now. She can knit 3 times as fast as she used to be able to. I'm not 100% sure what Bendis is doing next. I'm curious. If it was up to me, I'd tell him do something funny. And if not that, do something with crime. Maybe even true crime. Go back to some of the stuff he did in the past that worked really well. But that's just me. But that's just a job. What else was I going to talk about today? Oh, you can't even see what I'm pecking away at down here. Jeez. Sorry, everyone. I'll talk about lanterns in a minute. I know what I'll talk about. You were just somebody was saying that they liked the episode. So a couple things behind the scenes. So yeah, got a new episode out all about the artistic evolution of Hirohiko Araki, who definitely went through several different big influences. He's never been very subtle about, wearing those influences on his sleeve of what he likes and what influences him. He used to be influenced by the popular manga of the day, and then he finally came into his own, I think, when he began pulling from influences of high art and high fashion, or fine art and high fashion. which I think helps really give it a much more unique look than the next guy to draw. That did require finding a lot of specific reference shots. And I think the only thing I've got as a small regret is I brought up torepaku, which is basically a type of plagiarizing. And I mentioned how Hisashi Eguchi was accused of that. And I think what I sort of neglected to do was to just close that loop and explain. I was so focused on explaining what Araki does with reference and how that's an ethical way of using reference as compared to tracing, that I sort of forgot to close the loop on talking about Eguchi and how he used photos of not models, but just people on Instagram without their permission, and why that's a little bit of a different thing than, looking at a cover of Versace and using that pose, but not tracing it. YouTube captions had Araki as Iraqi. I guess that's my bad pronunciation. I do a terrible job when I talk about manga and stuff. I do a terrible job with my pronunciation. And I'm like, why am I so bad? My Japanese is okay enough to have minor conversations. And then I'll do an episode and I'll mispronounce names a little bit or words. And I've realized that the big difference is my brain has a really hard time going back and forth between English pronunciation and Japanese pronunciation. So if I'm talking in English, but I'm using a bunch of Japanese words intermittently, I'll pronounce them the way you would more in English. And I know it's a mistake, but I can't make my brain get it right. I can't. But if I just talked in Japanese, I would get it right. I have trouble going back and forth because I'm still learning. I have trouble going back and forth. But anyway, I was very proud of the episode. I hope you'll consider watching it, even if you don't know who Araki is or read, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I still sincerely think you can learn something about reference and about the Japanese belief in what constitutes okay and what's not okay. So yeah, I hope you'll consider watching it. And now I'm going to work this week on an episode about Archie. Last week we were talking about Archie in the news, and John Barry made a great observation of how something was a reference to the old Archie Christian licensed comics. And I've always wanted to talk about those. And I think that now is just a fun time to talk about that. It'll be a little bit of a lighter episode for me, but it's something I've wanted to talk about for ages, so I will. And then also I did the collaboration with West Coast Avengers, and I really do enjoy doing those because it's such a completely different experience than what I do for my episodes on Comic Tropes, because you've got somebody that you're sounding off against, and I love it. I love it. You can just sort of, you don't have to prepare as much, and that's kind of nice. There's a bunch of nice aspects to it, to be honest. So we have fun doing that, and I'm sure we'll do some more. I am curious. I told Dave, it's your channel too. So if you can get other artists or creators to do this with you, I don't feel the ownership of it. I love doing it. I'll do unlimited amounts, but I don't feel an ownership over this style of review if you can get other people. This week Jim Mafood and I are going to record for you folks a new trash movie bonanza, and it is about a movie based on, I was about to say a comic book, but really a manga. So that's coming soon ish. I think it'll be a lot of fun. So yeah, I'm going to do an Archie episode, probably do more collabs with Dave, and do some, what do you call it? Do some trash movie bonanza real soon. Oh, and we're trying to work out the schedule to do another trash movie bonanza that would also have Rick Remender sit in with us. We just need to find a time when all three of us are free. Just got back from Detroit, and boy, are my arms tired. Just got back from Detroit, and my girlfriend and I went to a comic book exhibit in the History Museum that was ironically on Kirby Street. That's really cool. Thank you for not just sharing that, but the super chat, of course. Wow, Detroit, huh? Detroit has a History Museum with a comic book exhibit right now. Very cool. Not Fist of the North Star. Nice to see you, Hooked on Juno. What else do I have coming up? Oh, I know. I'm going to talk a little bit about Lanterns, okay? If you haven't seen it, I'm going to speculate wildly about what kind of characters or directions I think the show is going, but I could be completely wrong. But if that's a spoiler for you, you know, give me like 5 to 10 minutes and you can come back, okay? And if you're watching this when it's not live, you can use chapter breaks. So my goal isn't to spoil the show, but I do want to, I want to talk about it a little bit. So first of all, I enjoy it quite a bit. It's a crime show. It's a crime show. They're doing some interesting things where they're potentially setting up that Jon Stewart has a lot of potential and in a way is a threat to Hal Jordan. But I really think, first of all, I think that there might be corruption with the Lanterns, because I was thinking about last week's episode where Hal had his sort of backup personality that you can code to a ring, and it hadn't been updated for 10 years. And I go, okay, the fact that he hasn't backed that up in 10 years, he isn't charging his ring regularly. You know, we know that it's kind of just low on juice. He's got his battery, but he's not charging it regularly. He's not wearing his uniform. I go, he's pulling away on some level from the Lantern Corps because he knows something isn't right, I think. And I think that the Lanterns are trying to re-engage Hal by making him train Jon Stewart. I don't think that necessarily they care too much about who becomes, you know, the backup or replacement Green Lantern right now. I think that they're trying to engage with Hal, but that's a broken relationship. Anyway, that's all just sort of speculation on the background of everything. In this episode, we learned a few things. There's an alien disguised as a human, but an alien called Anton. And he speaks with Jon Stewart and gives him basically a mission of finding a manhunter. Okay. Thank you, Steve. I love the Monday night show. It was something to look forward to each week and help me through my first year teaching. Year 2 starts soon. Hope it goes well. Hope you get good kids. That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you for your constant support. There's something maybe that went on there. And I also think that Sinestro is trying to scare Hal about Jon, because that's what Sinestro does, is he uses fear. But I don't know about all that yet. What I do know is this. Anton speaks with Jon. And he says, look, before the Guardians created the Lanterns, they created the Manhunters. And that is canonical to DC. They did. But the Manhunters were, and they do call them synthetic, but the Manhunters were specifically robots. And one of the Guardians, I want to say his name was Krona, corrupted the manhunters because they were sort of like robots and they could be controlled a little more easily. And he did some bad stuff with them. So the Guardians were like, okay, that first idea for a police force, we're not doing anymore. We're going to do the Green Lanterns. And that basically worked. Basically. Well, oh, right. I hope it counts towards your retirement. Congrats, dude. Couple things there. Here's the thing. So they say there's one manhunter left, and that's supposedly the person that killed the people in the first episode. I'm not 100% convinced of that. I think that there are multiple aliens running around Nebraska. That's personally my thought. Because the way they described the manhunter did not fully match what the robot manhunters are in the comics. Now, the robot manhunters were named after the Martian manhunters, which was their police force on Mars. We know one of the most famous Justice League members is Martian Manhunter, John Johns, the last Martian Manhunter. Well, what are they doing on this show in Lanterns? They're going after the last Manhunter. There's supposedly just one left. Very dangerous. And they say that it is masquerading as one of the people. It can shapeshift. I think that in the DCU, I think that they're going to say there wasn't robot manhunters, that the Guardians influenced the Martian manhunters, and maybe something went very wrong. I think that this is going to introduce John Jones, the Martian Manhunter. I don't think the Manhunter is the ultimate villain, in other words. I think that there are other threats. I also listened very closely to why Anton wanted to track down this Manhunter, and it was because he said that the Manhunters destroyed basically his entire people. And I go, oh, folks, this is totally Atrocitus, the guy that founds the Red Lanterns eventually. So I believe that this show is going to give us a version of both Atrocitus and Martian Manhunter before it's over. Who's the actual like bad guy here? Don't know yet. Still a mystery. This is just me speculating because it's a crime show. Anyway, I guess I'll leave it there so that I'm not droning endlessly about my theories. But I will say that I really think that this show has set up some good mysteries. I think that the trailer showed a human transforming into a manhunter. It was red with the blue gloves and all. I didn't know that, but I do. But still, if you're a shapeshifter, you could look however. They seem to be combining white Martians and robot manhunters. I do think that they're mixing together some of the mythology. I agree with you there. I don't think Aricia will show up, but I do sort of suspect, is it Zoe Macon is the wife of the super rich guy there in town whose son is married to the sheriff? I think that Zoe could be an alien because we know that there's some sort of alien benefactor working with Macon. I agree with your speculation about Martian and Manhunter. It was that trailer image that Shinsmol mentioned that convinced me they were bringing them in. I still don't know who the big bad is, which is good because that's the mystery. It's like these things that I might be getting right, I might be getting wrong, but if I'm getting it right, that isn't really the answer to the true mystery. It's just putting together who some of these characters are. Garrett could be Black Hand and Zoe may be Fatality. Maybe. That might be too many comic characters. Maybe. The original Manhunters, my recollection was that they were just robots. They were just really powerful cosmic robots. I don't remember them having shape-shifting abilities, like obviously this Manhunter that's integrated into society. So I think, I think that it'll introduce Martian Manhunter specifically. Don't think that will be the killer. I think eventually whoever is revealed to be the bad guy will anger Anton and turn him into a Red Lantern, but I don't know who the bad guy is. That sun is an alien-human hybrid, my guess. I think it's possible. There's two kids I want to say. What if the big bad was Ryan Reynolds? Not even in character, just playing himself. Yeah. You made a movie about Green Lanterns, and you made us look like idiots. You made us look like idiots. If I'm remembering right, Hugo sort of is touching a little on what I'm thinking of. Retroactively, like, so Hal Jordan becomes Parallax, right? A supervillain when Coast City was destroyed. And eventually they have him redeem himself by sacrificing himself to save the world from a Sun Eater, becomes Spectre. Eventually he gets brought back to life, blah, 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 blah. And I think, if I'm remembering right, they said that he actually became the villain because there's like this demonic fear entity called Parallax that was in all the rings and it infected Hal, right? So there's probably something to do with Parallax, and I think that Hal slightly suspects it, but I don't know the full story. Anyway, it's really good. It's interesting. Sometimes I watch it and I'm going like, oh, you know, they're showing a naked corpse at the morgue. You know, there's sex, there's death, there's swearing, there's the F word. It's treated like an HBO crime show. But I don't feel like they're trying to do that just for getting like a reaction, right? I feel like they're doing it just because it feels tonally like just what the show is. But that said, sometimes I watch it and I go, this is in the same universe as Peacemaker? Yeah. So it's different. It's different. Oh, yeah. No, I remember the original, like, Hal just was a villain. And then they retconned it when they brought him back. And you know what? Sometimes I think DC made a big mistake by bringing back both Hal Jordan and Barry Allen. I think DC was starting to build a type of evolution to some of their shared superhero stuff, which you don't get a whole lot of with serialized superheroes, but they introduced legacy. You know, Wally West and Kyle Rayner being people that took over that mantle fully, like 100% for a good long while, right? It wasn't like a short run for either of them. And I felt like DC kind of shot themselves in the foot a little. Like, I'm not saying that the stories with Barry and Hal back are bad. It's just that I don't think you needed to bring those characters back after you killed them off and had them killed off for so long. Because both of those were gone for quite a while, really. You might get like I don't know. I think that was a mistake. Undoing all that sort of character growth for like the next generation, and that added a little something unique to their shared universe of like having that legacy. I think they've undone a lot of that legacy. It's too big a reset for me. Connor Hawke too, sure. And you know, some of those sometimes they'd introduce some like new versions, and it was just to show how good the original version was. For instance, I never got the sense that Jean-Paul Valley going from Azrael to Batman was ever going to be permanent. I really didn't. I thought it was like showing the difference in what makes Bruce Wayne a hero. When Diana as Wonder Woman got replaced by Artemis, I never quite thought that was going to be permanent. So you can do both things. but they killed off, like in no uncertain terms, both Barry Allen and Hal Jordan. And I felt like after they killed them off and they were gone for quite a while, it really undid a lot for like, then legacy doesn't mean anything. You've just got a bunch of guys with the same name and powers and stuff. It's not as interesting to me. I don't know if I would have killed them off in the first place either, just to be clear. But what I'm saying is once you've done it, stick with it. Yeah, in some ways I was surprised that they got to use Dick as Batman for as long as they did, because he really, the difference there is that I really think that he established his own identity as Nightwing. You know, he wasn't Robin anymore, but Nightwing had been a character for a really long time too. So, yeah. Anyway, those are my thoughts on Lanterns and on DC Legacy. Talked about behind the scenes stuff. Was there anything else? I know what. Let me bring up the books next week, and we'll just see what people are excited for. So here's what's coming out next week. We've got some of this Bad Seeds event starting. Fine, whatever. A Dead Shot, One Shot. Don't care, really. Sorry. Hammer Fist, I'm very curious about. Always will give Rick Remender an opportunity. He very rarely lets me down. I pretty much always really, really, really like his work. And Steve Epting, great artist. Don't know anything about Black Tower. I'll get Rom out of curiosity more than anything else. Tomb of Apocalypse, I personally don't care. You know, I'll get around to finishing it, but it isn't a priority right now. I only sort of am into it. I liked season 1 more, I guess. What else? A What If X-Men, looks like that must be Cassandra Nova, right? Oh, like what if probably what if Cassandra Nova lived instead of Charles Xavier, so they'd probably all be bad guys. Mask Origins I might get. Witchblade Vampirella, cool for fans. I don't care that much. I like that cover, actually. It's not bad. That's pretty good. What's Denver? Jimmy Palmiotti writing it for Mad Cave. What's Denver? Huh. This one's gone under my radar. I don't know. Oh, the X-Men 97 season finale. Strong? All right. Well, maybe I'll have to watch it. Street Fighter. Some sort of Conan book. Oh, I just realized. Look at this. This is The Sumerian, and it's published by Ablaze, because they must be publishing in Europe where Conan the Barbarian is in the public domain. Interesting. So it's a competing Conan title. Boy, we're like 10 years from seeing people do that with Superman. That'll be interesting to see if this goes over at all, if there's enough of an audience that wants to see a competing version of Conan. I just realized what that was. Huh. I've never been a massive fan of Green Lantern, to be honest. I probably have read the most in the 90s. So Kyle Rayner was my guy for quite a while. But I'm not up to date at all on what's happened to him or John or Guy or Hal in forever. Sorry, that's very interesting to me that there's going to be a competing Conan book. Heavy Metal issue, Stuff of Nightmares. R.L. Stine. I hated his Man-Thing book at Marvel, so I won't read any of his comics. Sorry. I guess a reprint of Ninja Turtles, or maybe they're just they found some first prints. Maybe Mirage Studios just found some first prints in a back hallway, and they're going to put them back on the market. It is in Europe, where they've got slightly different rules than we do here. So I think that Ablaze might be based over there. Anyway, I don't know. Dude, Kyle Chandler playing Hal. I'll just mention this again real quick. He isn't playing Hal quite the way I recognize Hal Jordan as, but he's so damn charming anyway. What is best in life? To crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and hear the lamentation of the women. I'll probably see it if I've got the free time. The movie I really want to see is Camp Miasma. Maybe tomorrow. I don't know. What else we got? We got Hellraiser. We got yet another facsimile edition of Action Comics. Absolute Catwoman I'll pick up. I'm still curious about that one. Absolute Wonder Woman I love, so definitely we'll get that. That's the first one I'm really excited to say I'm picking up. We got an Amazing Spider-Man versus Ghost Spider. If you haven't read it, this Avengers JLA, fantastic. Liefeld's Badrock, could not care less. The Beauty, Black Cat, whatever. Capes I'll get. I enjoy Capes. I think Capes is funny and moves at a great pace. Catacomb of Torment. I'll flip through to see what creators are doing that. I don't know. It'll depend on who made it. Coyote versus Acme saw it Sunday. It was excellent. Oh, that's nice to hear. There's another person that agrees with you. Okay. Huh. I don't know how it did. Yeah, Concrete is nice. Concrete is nice to see. There's real Conan. So look at that. We've got the Sumerian with a, it looks like Conan. Looks like this is a subtitle, but no, they're probably just not allowed to use the word Conan as the title. And then we've got Conan the Barbarian there. Concrete, that might be issue 4 of 4, right? Corpse Knight has been very interesting. Love the art, if nothing else. Don't really know anything about Spawn these days. Daredevil, I keep hearing good things. I think that's just reprints, though. Detective, whatever. Do a power bomb. Hopefully Dave picks that up so that he and I could do another deep dive into a Daniel Warren Johnson book. Don't know what Dog Tag is. Pretty nice cover. Reminds me of the Nam with artwork by Michael Golden. The Eye Collector. Creepy. Fall of the House of Slaughter. I'm kind of just following the main title for now. Final Boss. Fireborn. Flash is good. Flash is quite good. Flash is good the same way Ryan North has made Fantastic Four good. Good standalone adventures. Good single issue stories. Love this era of G.I. Joe. This is a reprint from the classic era. Let's see. This Lee Weeks on art, incredible, one of their best. And this was when something like 9 Joes die in the Middle East all at once. A saw viper just mows them all down. It's brutal. Lost a lot of good Joes all at once. A Gambit book, Ghost Pepper, Godzilla Conquers the Multiverse, Gun Honey, Green Lantern versus Condiment King, a Greatest American Hero book where it looks like he's still the Greatest American Hero at like age 60 or something. Dog Tag is Mark Russell on a war story. Oh, I do like Mark Russell. You got 2. Okay, good. Yeah, get Flash. Dude, his Fantastic Four is great. Great. Lee Weeks, so underrated. Absolutely brilliant artist. Love Lee Weeks. I've never been disappointed by anything he draws. Underappreciated is right. He is incredible. Just incredible. I was about to just make a huge statement of saying like, oh, the best student that the Kubert School ever put out, but I don't know. That's saying a lot. But he's one of my favorite artists. I really, really like him. What else we got? A Harley Quinn book, Hello Darkness, Justice League Unlimited, King Spawn, Kingdom of Earth, Lilo and Stitch. It's kind of a cute cover. Medo Cafe, Minotaur, Mind Management, One Last Trick, Poison Ivy, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I don't need any of these books. That's nice to be able to, like, it gets me just as excited to see what I can skip as what I get excited to buy. I'd read any of them if they were put in front of me, but yeah. It's a big week for you. Yeah. Mark Waid's a good writer. I just can't read it all. Santos Sisters is a good book. I do agree with you there. What else? Predator versus Planet of the Apes. That's funny. Pretty Hate Machine. Venom Unchained. Sorcerer Supreme. It's amazing that it's already at issue 9. That means it's got one to go probably before they cancel it. Spawn. Star-Crossed. I want to see, is this a reprinted Mark Miller book or is this a new Mark Miller book? All I can say is I know that the Italian artist that drew this is super talented. I'm not a humongous fan of most Mark Miller stories, but I will say that he seems to hire the absolute best artists in the business, so he must pay well. He must. It's good. Pretty Hate Machine is good. There are One Last Trick, Joseph Schmalke Rocks. It is a new book, okay. Don't know what this is. Supermondo Megamutts. Okay. A Superman book. Oh, Superman Father of Tomorrow. That's kind of cool. Danny Earls and Kenny Porter getting to do their own take on Batman and Robin in their multiverse story. Supernatural, Ninja Turtles. Terminal 2, I happen to already have read because I got issue 2 as my blind bag, so I've already read this. We'll see. We'll see. Thunderhawks, Blood of Wolfman. Kind of curious about that, to be honest. Tales of the Shadow Man. Valiant is dead to me these days. Vampirella. Clap them cheeks. Look at that. Void Rivals I'll get. Void Rivals is one I'll get. The rest, no. Wolverine. DNX Prologue. X-Men Outback. Oh, that's one of my favorite eras of X-Men, but I don't need to go back. And Zatanna. I think I'm getting about 6 books. Let's see. Void Rivals. I'm trying to be like really ruthless here. Capes. Corpse Knight. Absolute Wonder Woman, Absolute Catwoman. Rom. I think I can keep it to 6, even though there's a few others here that I am very curious about that I like. I like Concrete. I like Conan. I like Flash. I just can't get it all. I just can't get it all. I like Superman, Father of Tomorrow. It's hard, but I got to cut more out. I just, it's too much. I keep hearing that Zatanna is really good. Valiant 2012 started so good too. I absolutely am going to, at some point, and I think before the end of this year is all I can say, do an episode that's specifically, I've got the title in mind, The Rise and Fall of Valiant Comics, because I think that they've had 2 good eras and have fallen to complete crap after those good eras. Sort of, yeah. Midnight is sort of Marvel's answer to Absolute, but it's horror themed specifically. I'm excited for Chain Kata, especially. I'm shocking everybody announcing what I like. Capes and Concrete. Yep. I don't know who's doing X-Men Outback. I did love that era. I sure did. It was definitely nominated for an Eisner. Did it win? It might have won. I think it won Best Writer Artist. I think that's a category. I would be more likely to talk about the Turok video game than just the Turok comic. But I'll definitely mention Turok on some level if I do my Valiant episodes. So I might be calling on you to borrow some of those copies of Turok #1. I'm starting to pick up runs of cross-gen books on eBay. Interesting. Starting with all of Scion. Might go for Meridian next. Trying to think of the cross-gen ones I liked. Way of the Rat. It's really good. What else did I like from cross-gen? I didn't read a lot of cross-gen, to be honest. That's another one I'd like to make an episode about, though. Yep. You know, we never got a follow-up to that rumor that Kirkman bought a bunch of the Dell characters, like Turok, Magnus Robot Fighter, and Solar Man of the Atom. That was like a news item like a month or so ago, and I haven't heard any follow-up. No wonder. Ruse. I kept thinking in my head Rune, and then I kept going like, no, Rune is part of like Malibu's Ultraverse, like, but it was Ruse. Ruse, yes. Dude, it is going so slow. That's one of the things that is stressing me out. I was like, okay, I got some good news for friend and family health this week, but like the people, like they're just not answering very fast. Like we've paid them a down payment and we agreed to pay a lot of money to get this fixed, but they are just acting like they're so busy. It's driving me bonkers. So yeah, I still don't have access to my basement. Just half my house. I don't think it's worth that much, honestly. He doesn't need to. He's got his own stuff, and he's got the Energon license from Hasbro. He's doing fine. I think he likes to have his hands on what he works on too, to some degree. Oh, I didn't know that. That's good news. Oh, thank you so much, Chrissy. I'm stressed out about a lot of stuff, to be honest. Beyond like, I'm like, okay, we got some good news this week for health, but there's still like health stuff for family and friends that I am concerned about. I've got the basement, always money, and I got to get my driver's license renewed tomorrow, and I've got a million chores to do, but that's an important one. Otherwise, I won't be able to go to New York Comic Con. I need to get my driver's license so I can actually get on an airplane, let alone drive. I have it off and on depending on when I'm like sort of reviewing certain things, but mostly I enjoy picking up Tankobon of the books I really like. So right now I don't have it. I asked them if we'll at least have the laundry room back by the holidays. Jeez, good for you for pushing them on that. Oh yeah, Valiant does have cool characters, but right now just no direction. Nothing good. Yeah. Tell you what, here's something relatively small. I would ask if anybody out there can just make a point of watching the new Comic Tropes video and or sharing it on social media to somebody. That would mean a lot to me. It really would. I don't try to ask that every single time, like share it with everybody, but I put a lot of work into it, several weeks worth, to be honest, and was up to like 2 a.m. finishing it last night because I was like, I know I can do it. But I would love that if you would be willing to do that, like, or just tell a friend or something. Like even one person, if they watch it and they like it, that means a lot to me. So if you would consider it, that would mean a lot. I'm trying to think if there's anything else like media wise. I haven't had time to go to the movies or anything. Lanterns is the only show I watched this week. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I do have something to look forward to. Chrissy and I found an incredible deal on a flight to New York. So we are going to go to New York for a few days for vacation, and I'm going to go to Comic-Con. And even though this is like over a month past when they said their deadline was, and I bought a ticket, New York Comic-Con did approve me for a professional badge. So technically I can go any day that I'm there. And so I'll probably sell the ticket that I bought myself. But that is nice that I was given like comped tickets and that we found a flight that was really cheap. Like we were like, I want to say it was like in the 500s, which these days is like, what? Like fuel prices are so expensive. It was a really good deal. Thank God, because I didn't know for sure if we'd be able to go. You know, we're keeping our money really tight. Like we've cut back on a lot of stuff. And I think that's the responsible thing to do until the house is repaired. But we do need a break, and we are going to go. And it means a lot to me that I can go. Thank you. It helps a lot. That's really, really kind of you. Thank you so much. I thank you to everybody that's donated. Again, like I feel like sometimes I don't pause long enough, but I want to also keep the show going. But I appreciate the support. I totally understand how stressful life can get in times like this. I'm trying, folks. I'm trying to take care of myself. I'm taking all the medications that I need to. I'm trying to eat healthy and lose weight. I don't know if it's working yet or not, but I'm trying. I'm really trying to take care of myself. It's just that I work every day, and the things like, yeah, the only stuff I allow myself is like a few hours here and there to potentially see a movie. Or to do this show, which is still fun and it keeps me engaged with comics. But every day I'm either at my job or I'm working on YouTube, and there's no downtime. And I don't think I'm quite at burnout. I don't feel like burnout because I still like getting out and seeing my coworkers. I still like writing and recording and editing comic tropes quite a bit. But there is a cumulative effect to not having an actual weekend. Do you know what I mean? Just it all piles up. The most visited city that I haven't lived in would absolutely be New York City. Yeah. I haven't technically lived there, but I couldn't even tell you how many times I've been to New York, but that's because I used to live on the East Coast, plus one of my best friends from college moved there right after college. So I had an excuse. So that would be, and then after, you know what? I wonder, for like a big city, I wonder if the next one would actually be Tokyo. As far as a place I haven't lived, which is only something like 7 times. But then what am I going to say? Like, you know, have I been to San Francisco or Los Angeles? I've probably been to Los Angeles more than 7 times. Yeah, I guess I have, but it would probably go New York, Los Angeles, Tokyo, as far as places that I've been more than once, but haven't lived in. Interesting question. Thank you so much for this. The JoJo episode was an all-time best. Thank you. I think it's a really good one. I left a long and detailed comment in the post, so I won't repeat myself here. I'll look for it. But props, Chris. I'll share it, though my social media reach is pitiful. I don't care about trying to reach hundreds of people through each of you. Like, even if I just reach one more person, that makes a big difference. It really does. And thank you so much for the kind words. Guys, every once in a while, like a friend or a stranger just says something kind about a video or sends me a funny meme. Those are more friends. I don't want to be sent memes by everybody. No offense. And it just can really make a difference. It really can. If I could move anywhere in Japan and make it work, I would. I think the trickiest thing is, like, how do I still care for and see my family back here in the States on any meaningful level if I was living there? And how do we get Chrissy on their government health care? Like, that's got to take a long time, I imagine. So those are the concerns. I haven't been to San Francisco in a long time, and I would love to go there again. I would love to. I'd say that's true for a lot of big cities, to be honest. Yeah. Folks, I think that should do it for the show. I'm trying to think. I don't think that there's anything else that I had on my little agenda for the evening. I had a great time. Thank you so much. You've all really lifted my spirits, so thank you. And I will be back next Monday with hopefully some interesting news. Definitely should be some interesting comics to review. We'll have seen Lanterns episode 3. I'm looking forward to that. I don't know if I'll get a chance to see a movie or anything, but maybe. And I ain't got any jokes or anything insightful, so just take care of each other. And what else can I say? I guess just keep reading comics. Bye, everybody. Double salute. Bye.